And I got some stuff I got to knock out later today, so these videos are going to be coming in slower. I'm just waiting on a couple things to go down, such as my phone charging and some other things. But nonetheless, in this one, I wanted to talk to you guys about my Rhino. And let me start with this. The main reason I use Rhino is for the index. That is the main. That's like the number one reason. The number two reason is for ESO, and that's really just if I'm using a weapon that's not performing up to par to get the kills, then I'll take this Rhino and use his roar as a buff while still having some type of survivability. Well, let's go over this index situation. For starters, I am using melee, so this actually worked out for me to have still charge on there, giving me that additional damage. For the index as well, I think it's good to have vigilante pursuit so you can actually see enemies. Really, any enemy radar is nice to have, but this one in particular serves its purpose for me just as well. I know it gives a chance on crit for primary weapons, but I don't really use primary weapons, so that's neither here nor there. As far as his power, strength, and armor, I opted for a ton of armor, which is steel fiber and gladiator aegis and armored agility. This is to allow his iron skin to multiply on a beefy number, and then getting his ability strength as high as possible. Really, I'm just dumping all my resources into iron skin. The main reason for that is so that while I'm in the index, this is not going to be used because I'm not going to have energy. This is not going to be used because I'm not going to have any energy. And this is not going to be used because I'm not going to have any energy. So it all comes back to this. But I do have Empower on there, one of which gives ability strength. So usually when I'll jump into an index, being that my duration is so low and I'm not really trying to sit there and fickle around with buttons for too long, you can really go about this one of like 2 or 3 ways. I chose this way, and that is to hit Empower first, use Empower to buff this, and then use that to buff Iron Skin. So it's only a total of 3 casts. Now, what I could do is I could hit Defy, and then hit this, and then hit that, but you need duration for that. And there's like 1,000,001 different ways you can do it. You can do it with Arcane Guardian, wait till you get shot, hit Defy, blah, 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 blah. But it's just quicker for me to just hit this, and then hit that. Besides, this doesn't have a duration, so I hit this as soon as I get in. And the minute I see an enemy, I hit lockdown, I charge them, and then I hit this, and usually I'm upwards of 15,000 armor or whatever. And that works for me. But it's not really this so much that gets me through the index. There is 2 things in here that get, well, actually there's 3 things mainly that gets me through the index with my Rhino. That's Vigilante Pursuit, Fury, and Strike. I am a melee person. I opt for melee whenever possible. Sometimes I will use Arcane Velocity for my Catch Moon. But let me go ahead and pull up my actual index set, and I'll show you what I mean. So I actually use the Catch Moon for the index, and I use my dual care, so you can use any melee. Really, you can literally use any melee, but because I don't need to heal, I'm actually able to put in additional crit damage. Or you can put in heat or whatever works for you. I opted for crit damage because this right here is 180 melee damage, if not more, because that's a 2.6 multiplier. So as long as I stay in crit, then I'm good. Not only that, I couple it with Neramon to make sure that I have a combo duration for as long as humanly possible in the index, right? So I don't lose combo, I hit pretty hard, I have Iron Skin, I don't need energy. It's just go in there, shred, and I'm good to go, right? So that is the index Rhino. Works for me, use it how you must, but that is the build that I use for Rhino for the index, right? As far as ESO, it's a little bit different. I took a hit on my strength to add more duration, right? And obviously not going to need any range, but this one has neutral range because it's not using narrow-minded, right? But this one, on the other hand, is using narrow-minded, so of course it's going to take a hit in range. This is known as a stingy build or a selfish build. You see that such as like a selfish chroma. It's a selfish Rhino, basically. But with this one, I use narrow-minded to offset the hit that I'm going to take. Actually, no, that's not offsetting anything because I don't need range. Sorry about that. But we are using Blind Rage, and we're using Transient Fortitude. And if you notice on both the builds, I have Ironclad Charge. What Ironclad Charge is doing is it's basically TLDR. It's buffing my ability strength so that it's either ability strength or armor, one of the two. Yeah, armor. So it's buffing my armor allowing my iron skin to become more. It just buffs me to like more. So if I use ironclad and I hit like one enemy, usually I'll get around 10,000, 11,000, sometimes 15,000. I think it's like 15,000, something like that. I think it almost doubles it, somewhere around there. And that's usually enough to suffice me for 3 to 4 rounds of the index. You know what I mean? And it's really simple to just go in there and just, you know, hit the button again. But even in ESO, usually you end up with more, you know, energy because of energy pickups. So the duration at that point is going to be for Roar, in which I use this to give me the 127% damage so that I can be more effective with my weapons that I'm leveling up. As far as the Tridolon Rhino, I'm going to be completely honest. Full disclosure, I don't run Rhino when I shoot at all, and this is just a theory build. I'm sure there's something else you could probably put in here, such as you can put Smite and Fusion here, and you could probably replace Augur Secrets with Smite and Fusion or Shock Trooper or whatever you would like to put in there. But I would imagine that really all you need is for your Roar to last 20 seconds. That seems like a reasonable amount of time to be able to do DPS with a Tridolon Rhino. The strength and all that's cool, and you are going to want your iron skin because you don't want to go down during a shot, right? But the main purpose of it is to be able to hit really hard. So we got 161%, plus we have our Empower that's going to raise this another 25, giving us 186 Rhino damage. That's Rhino Roar, 186 Rhino Roar. That's a lot of roar. And that's a really, really insane shot that you'll be letting off. Let alone if you swap this out for Shock Trooper, you'll probably be even crazier. Of course, Nullifiers here just as a safeguard, Momentum here for obvious reasons, and the rest is pretty much power strength. We don't need any enemy radars because it's just a Tridolon, and that's pretty much the gist of it. I would go into the index and show you, actually yeah, let's go ahead and just jump into index, and I'll show you what that looks like. For the index one, because I only use them for indexes, I don't really use them for anything other than that, and maybe boss runs here and there. And I use my ESO build for boss runs. So let's go ahead in the index and I'll show you how I get down in that thing. I could have swore my eye caught something else, and it did not. No, we're good. Okay, so per usual, we're gonna jump in there solo. I could go on a team, but I don't want to like leave the index and upset anyone, so we're just gonna hop in. We're going to throw 50 grand down, and we're going to get our buff and kill stuff and see what happens. Alright. Now, if you are a spin to win person, you should, on average, come out in a four-man run on 4 rounds. You should be coming out with about 200 kills. You should be. If not, then, you know, it's probably just spin to win or something else. Something else might be going on, but I usually come out with an average of about 200 kills in 4 rounds in the index. So for starters, we're going to start with doing some. We're going to start with some energy pickups. So if I get usually around 100 energy, then I'm good, right? So there's 50, and then there's one more on this side. There's our 100. Boom. From there, I'm going to get this started. Right, and then the 76 is going to go into my first ability and my second ability. Boom, so we got a couple locked down. We're going to hit that, that's buff, bam. And now if we look at my armor rating, I should be 15, 19. Cool, we're at 19. From here, I'm just going to continue to melee until I get a 12 times multiplier. Once I get a 12 times multiplier, then it's pretty much, it's going to feel like a one-hit kill aside from Auditors and Auditors and the Raptors. But you should be coming out with, you should be doubling and in some cases quadrupling people's kills. That's what you should be doing. Long story short. Alright, so we're at a 12 times multiplier. So now I'm just going to kind of vaguely swing in their direction and they should just be dying. And this should be the case for pretty much 4 rounds, with the exception of the Raptors and Auditors. Now if you need to get around the map, you can do this on either index map. I would suggest getting used to instant slide attacks. As you should have a lot of speed on your Rhino. If you're doing this, then it helps you get around the map a lot quicker. So if I needed to get to the other side for whatever reason, I'm just gonna kill this guy, right? Then I can, you know, I could spin my way there or whatever. It also is going to differ per weapon. Does not work. It doesn't work really like that if you have a Cronin. But if you do have a relatively good spin to win weapon, you should be good to go. Also, if you notice that your armor is getting low, you could opt for the Magus lockdown strategy, where you pop out, you hit lockdown real quick, and you just get used to doing that really fast, and that'll hold the enemies down. Just be mindful that they start to become resistant to it after a while, right? As you can see, it's not really working like that anymore, right? So just keep those things in mind if you want to use this Rhino. But from there, as you can see, we got the radar kind of working. Now I'm gonna, I guess, turn these points in. I guess I'll go this way. Yeah, I'll just go this way. Boom, so on and so forth. There's other strategies that I use for the index, such as 2 Rhinos, one murdering everything, the other one collecting points. And you get one to collect 100 points, another to collect another 100 points. And if all 4 Rhinos, for whatever reason, can collect 100 points, not 100, but if 3 Rhinos can collect 100 points, and while one is turning them in the time it takes one to turn in his points and get that to 100, you effectively skipped 3 rounds. So you just made 1,000,000 in 1 round. That's effectively how that works. That's what we do whenever the opportunity presents itself. When it doesn't present itself, that's okay. You know, I can usually do the tanking for the first round, so we can do at least 1 round skip, at least get 1 free round. But if you ever see a Rhino just collecting points, that's actually what they're doing, so I wouldn't necessarily hate on them. What I would recommend you do is, instead of hating on them, do your part and just continue to keep the timer going while he's collecting 100 points. Because what he's doing is he's preparing for what's called a round skip, right? So the minute the next round starts, he's going to dump his 100 and you're going to instantly go to round 3. That's why they're doing it. It's a free 250K, and you're skipping an entire scale of the enemies, right? You're going to skip that whole wave of the enemies scaling, right? So that's why that's there. As far as Tridolons, I don't really got nothing to say too much as far as Tridolons. That one's extremely straightforward. I mean, you guys seen the build. Just hit Iron Skin right before it's going to hit you, and or right before you take damage. And especially on the second one, if you're in a team where you're not doing the you know, energy spike, where it's not super where you guys aren't calibrated or synchronized like that, and the beams are coming out the ground on the second one, right? Use those beams as an opportunity to scale up your Iron Skin, right? So basically, you stand in it. I kid you not. You stand in the fire. You hit Iron Skin. As soon as it goes away, you hit Iron Skin, and you literally stand in it for 3 seconds. By the time you come out, you should be easily over 100,000 armor, probably more than that, right? Aside from that, you're just going to be spamming Roar whenever the opportunity presents itself. I do recommend hitting it roughly 5 to 10 seconds before your shot needs to go off, to give yourself some leeway before the shot and to give yourself some leeway after the shot, in the case that you may miss shots, or there might be a glitch or a bug or lag or whatever the case, how you'll shoot the correct spot but it'll show up 0. Well, on the server side, the Tridolon is here, but on the client side, the Tridolon is here. The shot needs to register where the server side is. So you might get some zeros unless you're the host. That's why I recommend that timetable for shooting. And then ESO is ESO. It's not really any more or less than that. You basically do exactly what I just did in the index. You rush a dude down. You can put whatever you want on Rhino Stomp. I do not recommend getting rid of Rhino Charge, because that is going to make your Iron Skin amazing. And technically you could take down armor and still hit more armor than half Rhinos out there without this ability. Actually, than all the Rhinos without this ability, you will be getting more armor than them because you have this ability. This is why Rhinos get crazy armor. So keep that, use that. And then, of course, Iron Skin, you need that, and then Roar to buff your weapons when you're in ESO. And then this one is the only one that's up for grabs because it's too expensive, does no damage, the range is not really the absolute best, given the build you're probably going to be using. So you might as well just put something else there, such as, I don't know, smite, just whatever you want, smite infusion. It really doesn't matter what you put there at that point, right? As far as ESO, that's why I have Avenger on, because Avenger is going to give me crit to everything, and Avenger actually works through his Iron Skin. So you get shot, cool, you got crit. And then Arcane Strike, because I just like fast melees. If you're more of a shooter, you can put any other arcane you prefer, such as Acceleration would be a good one. I'm pretty sure there's other ones that you could put on for primary. You could put on Primary Blade Charger, Primary Arcane Primary Charger. So, you know, do whatever you like. But that's the build that I use. So bada bing, bada boom. If there's any questions pertaining to Rhino, go ahead and leave them in the comments. Let me know if this is working out for you. If you like these build videos, I guess. I mean, I'm not really a guy who does build videos like that, but what I will do is I'll show you my build, and then you take it as you want. And if you want to try it, that's cool. Be mindful though that I play this way, and you may play the same or you may play different, right? So Ironclad Charge might not be for you. Lockdown might not be for you. Zenuric might not be for you. Nerimon might not be for you. So you're going to have to make those adjustments to fit how you play the game. Alright? I just want to make sure that is noted as thick as possible. Alright? Alright, that's pretty much my Rhino. Hope this helps. Go out and murder Lephantis 25 million times over. Get yourself some equilibriums to sell in the market, so on and so forth. And I'll be hollering at you guys in the next piece of content. Alright, love you guys. Peace. Woo!